So, guys, welcome to the Sunday Market Blitz. We do this session every single week where we hop on, Nick and myself run through our analysis for the week so you guys can see how we're looking at the charts and how everything's lining up. This is mainly just focused on the swing trading. So, we're just going over basically swing trading strategy for everything that we're looking at. Nick runs through about 6 pairs. I run through about 6 pairs. And then we pretty much concluded with that. So that being said, I'm going to let Nick take over. He'll share first. If you guys got questions, just hit up the chat and we'll just answer them, whenever we take a little break or whatever. Yeah, and if you guys are in challenges, write up in the chat. If you guys are like in the middle of taking a funded challenge right now or anything, I'm interested to see how many people on the call are actually in the middle of them. I know Santiago just said he is.
Yeah, there's quite a few people in the challenges, which is great. Some people just passed, some people are getting started. Yeah, but there's quite a few. So let's run through the analysis, at least my portion. We're going to kick it off with DXY. So why do we always start off with DXY? I kind of answer this question every time, but I feel like it's good in case there's some new members here, people joining in and are wondering why. So DXY is the US dollar. And all we're doing here, we're not actually trading it, but we're just kind of following it, seeing where the dollar is going, because it makes up such a huge portion of the market, right? So 80% of all trade is the dollar, and it's also the reserve currency. So it has a pretty big influence on a lot of the major pairs. So we want to understand where it's going, analyze it just like anything else, look for a trend, look for key points, and just follow it that way. It gives us, some sort of insight. So it's good to, analyze it. Okay, so let's see where it's been. We're going to jump to the daily time frame real quick. And all I'm going to do on the daily time frame is grab the overall trend and then drop to the 4-hour and go over what's possible based on what we've been seeing from price action. Right, that's probably the best way to explain it. So on the daily here, if you guys can identify trends yet, very clearly, this is very simple. It's moving up, right? We're seeing higher highs, higher lows, moving through resistance points, generally upwards. So this is a bullish trend. That's really all we need from here. We can take note that we are near a key level, massive resistance at 97.25. Okay, so let's go to the 4-hour, take a closer look, see what's going on this time frame. Now, this time frame for the swing strategy, at least the way that I'm looking at it, 4-hour time frame kind of highlights what the potential movement for this next week is going to be best. I think it does it, the best, and really gives you enough opportunity to kind of spot things. You can be patient and then drop down time frames, start looking for entries. So the 4-hour is what I found to work best on a week-to-week basis. So, right, we're setting up all of our analysis here on Sunday. Then we're going to adjust, see what's playing out, how price action's moving, and then make decisions throughout the week based on that. Okay, so where are we now? Overall, we're bullish on the daily. We know that. On the 4-hour, we're between a bit of a range. So I've highlighted these two zones here, 96.35, 95.8. This has been a key range in the past, right? Meaning we've seen price action react quite a bit, struggle to break through this area, and present no trend, essentially, while it's between these two zones. Okay, so that could continue to happen now. That is the most likely. We've already seen some reactions within this. Once again, although we do have a nice 4-hour bullish channel forming, right? So that's good. That's definitely hinting that we're moving upwards. But we've been seeing some rejection on both resistance and support side. So that's the most likely scenario, right? We're going to move up, test resistance again. Maybe it'll start to curve out. We'll see a reversal there, head back down towards 95.8. For us to consider this full bullish, we really just need to clear this resistance level, right? Spot a higher low above. Good confirmation setups to enter long on, or would if it was a pair, but essentially to continue this, bullish, we need to see a higher low here. And it's some nice confirming setups. And then we would target, the resistance level 97.25. So that's pretty much the outlook for the dollar. Pretty much just have it pushing up this week a little bit. We'll see if it touches our level and then where it goes from there. For now, it's pretty much just resting here at 95.8. So we need to see more. Okay, so let's move over to our first tradable pair, AU. Daily time frame first. What has been the overall trend? So clearly we've been moving down, lower lows, lower highs, big pullbacks, huge bearish legs. Overall, primarily bearish, right? It's a downward moving chart. Okay. Key level, monthly zone, 0.7. Okay, and then we also have another key level here, 0.72. Okay, this was a massive level that we saw a transition around. Price action broke through it, came back here, reacted a bunch of times, essentially formed the next lower high, and then pushed into the monthly again. So we're seeing the next area where we could see the next lower high, but we're waiting to see a couple more reactions. Overall, we are bearish, but let's go to the 4-hour, get a closer look here. Okay, so this is that pullback, right? This was that the second attempt at 0.7, right? Our monthly price action hit that, started pulling back, didn't immediately come back to the 0.72 handle. There was some consolidation here, tried to push lower, failed, and then started, forming this kind of upward trend here on the 4-hour, right? We're seeing higher lows, key resistance here at 0.72, keeps getting tested. And that's where price action is kind of holding right now. So it did form a nice conviction candle, but it's not following through. It doesn't seem like. It seems like it's pulling back now. But I do still have it coming back, forming the next higher low at this minor level, and then pushing back up, making an attempt at 0.7. So this would really be the area where we're considering if you're in this trade, right? So let's mark this up and kind of go through this. If we did see a scenario here, we have about, let's say, 60 pips back until this high. So at that point, you need to be careful with price action and see if it's going to break or if it's going to reverse. But there could be a nice trade here, and there's enough distance to this point where you could manage it accordingly. But I mean, this could be a pretty good risk reward. If you want to do at least 2-to-1, this would be your max stop loss, 70 for 140. So there's some safety here, right? There's a lot of protection, quite a few zones, trend line if you want to count it, prior higher lows. But overall, this is looking like if it is going to continue long, this is what we would like to see, right? A nice higher low, structure forming higher low, and then nice conviction through this zone. Okay, and then of course, any higher lows above 0.72 would be of interest to us as well to continue entering long on, potential scale ins, targeting key resistance levels. Okay, so that's the bullish scenario. If this were to completely fail, right, price action breaks this minor level, we see a transition here, a nice lower high below, we could start considering short opportunities, and it would be essentially the same thing by 0.71. So, right, if it breaks, pushes lower, comes back, retest, forms a nice lower high, right? Nice wicks, maybe some exhaustion, good confirmation to the downside. This is what we'd be interested in, something like this, targeting the monthly at our max, and then you'd have some distance here to manage it as well if it pulls back. But this is a pretty good trade as well, 2-to-1. 66 pip max, right, per our rules, right? We don't like to take any trades under 2-to-1 risk reward. So this is where this trade would lie, right? 130, about 65 pips. Decent trade either way. My guess is going to continue bullish for now, and we'll get a good opportunity, maybe early this week. We'll see. So that's AU. But yeah, a little bit more time on this one. Needs to develop quite a bit. AJ is looking a little bit better. We could be in for a nice short opportunity, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's just go to the higher time frame, take a look at this trend. This one's not as clear as AJ. This one's kind of, as AU. This one's kind of been all over the place. We were very strongly bearish here. Then we saw this high volume range, right? This is the resistance level, 81.5. This is the support, 78.8. A lot of bouncing between that, and then we finally broke here. But this whole move failed to form structure. It just went up. It came down, bounced between these two levels a couple more times, finally broke again, and then we got our first real higher low after a break. So it's looking more bullish now, but it's bouncing just at a higher range essentially now. So it's really not as clear. This is the key zone for sure, the weekly 83.25. So we're just going to try and play between that for the next week and see if we can maybe on the daily, throughout this week, break any key levels, get a little more clear structure, see if we're going to move down on a larger scale or actually break the weekly. So let's go to the 4-hour, see what this is going to tell us. There might be a little more information here, right? And here's that high volume range, or the secondary one, let's say. So the weekly here, 83.25, support 81.5. And after this bearish channel broke, here's the transition. We popped above, we broke this lower high here, got a nice higher low, and then started moving upwards. That's when we started getting this huge volume, right? These huge swings to the upside, downside, upside. So we've had some room to play here. This is not necessarily a bad thing because there is so much volume here. Like this is about what, 180 pips roughly. So that's a good amount. There's definitely some trades here on the 4 hour throughout the week. So that's what we're gonna be highlighting this week essentially. And it looks like we're finding some pretty major resistance up here at the weekly, right? We had a first touch, good wick, good rejection, conviction candle. Then we got a little bit of a lower high here, but the same rejection, which is nice. And now we're moving lower. So price action is kind of trickling down. I'm more or less waiting for the first lower high below this minor level, 82.65. And then we could be looking at something like this. Let's take a look. Again, we want to see this be a confirmed lower high, meaning good rejection, maybe some wicks. Again, nice bearish variation. So 3 good strong candles in a row, engulfing candles, evening stars, anything like that. Somewhere in this area that would confirm that whole set. So this should be really good. Nice trade setup. And we're going to target down towards 81.5. Let's put it right here. Let's just call it 90 pips. We'll round it off. 90 pips, risking about 45. Nice 2-to-1. So this would be a great trade. Really great trade. Well protected. Above the lower high and also this minor zone. Also some MAs, of course, if you want to count that. It's up to you, whatever your strategy is, if you're applying them or not. But this is essentially what we're looking for. Nice, good setup. Back down towards support. Okay, now if the opposite happens, right? Let's say it doesn't follow through. This just becomes some sort of brief consolidation pattern and then continues to the upside. We want to see a nice clean break of 83.25. Not like a ripsaw like this, just huge volume up, huge volume down. You don't want to see that. You want to see it push above. I wouldn't mind some consolidation, but I'm really just waiting for that structure forming higher low, right? Above this weekly. That would be perfect. And then of course you want to enter on those bullish setups that we, keep talking about. So that would be the flip side, but either way, I mean, there's room to run on this one. So AJ could be another good prospect for this week. It's definitely going to be high on the list. So let's move over to UJ. This one's primarily bullish. We're here on the daily time frame. Overall trends moving up. That's what we're seeing price action go. Higher highs, higher lows. So overall, very bullish. Any key zones to mention? 117. Okay, that's probably the closest, but also 116.25. That's where we've been seeing these tops hit here. Okay, so definitely something to be aware of. Let's go and 115 too also actually, but that's more of a 4 hour zone. So let's get to that now. Overall, bullish in the daily. 4 hours definitely got a little more info for us. So let's see what this has been doing. Nice bullish trend here on the 4 hour. Right, higher highs, higher lows, generally moving up until now, right? We saw a retest of 115. Not good for bullish price action, right? You don't want to see it come back down, hit a major zone, come back up and then form a lower high, push lower, touch that zone again, and then seemingly form another lower high. Not good. That's definitely showing a weakening of this trend on this time frame. So the most likely scenario is that we'll see price action fall through 115, and then we'll see a nice retest, lower high, and then a continuation to the downside. So this could be another good trade this week. Let's take a look and see what this would look like. But the theme is definitely patience. You're going to have to be patient because we still have a lot of time on these pairs before we see a nice break and retest on most of them. So be patient, guys. Could definitely get a good trade this week on quite a few of these. So let's call it 65. Okay. And we're going to do about 30, let's say 30, 32 at our max. Okay, so this is a little bit of a tighter trade. Okay, if one of the other ones set up better, you may want to consider that over UJ, but this could be good as well, depending, of course, how price action follows through. Okay, but there would be some protection here. 115 is obviously a massive level. Obviously after that lower high is confirmed, that would be good as well. And then could be a good short position. So let's say that doesn't happen. Let's say price action just continues to consolidate, does something like this for a little while, and then breaks above. We need at least a higher low above 115.35 because I want to see a lower high break, actually break, and then see that transition kind of follow through before I am comfortable taking a long position. So let's see what this would look like. A little bit more room here to the upside, it looks like. Yeah, just a little bit. So we're going to call it 90, meaning we got about 45 to work with for our max, which is well protected, right? 115 safety, 115.35 trend line, and then obviously the confirmed higher low at this point, because we wouldn't have broken 115 if it does go up. So this would be a really good trade as well. Could even squeeze a little bit more out of it. I'd probably do like a 25 pip stop, something like that, get just over a 3-to-1, maybe even 30. But yeah, there's a lot on this one. So this could be a good buy setup into the week. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, it's just kind of stuck in this zone between these two levels. So we'll wait. We will wait patiently and capitalize when the moment's right. All right, let's go to EJ daily time frame. What has this one been doing? So this one's tricky as well, but let's kind of highlight a few things. Okay, notice this range here. So 130, 129. Just look at these two levels. Price action was bouncing quite a bit between here, right? And these are all fake outs. It's a fake out, fake out. This was a range, pretty high volume one. And then we finally got a breakout to the upside, but same thing, no structure, similar to, what was it, UJ? Pretty sure it was UJ. We just saw a huge volume to the upside, huge volume to the downside, no structure whatsoever. Came back down into the range, kind of danced around 129, the support level, came back through, high volume stuff, gave us a higher low right at the 129 level again, and then shot straight to the upside. So it's looking more bullish just because we're sitting at 130 right now. But if it breaks below, so it's kind of, obviously be bearish again. So this is kind of tough to tell. I think the 4 hour is going to have a little more for us, but technically the daily does have more bullish volume, and we are sitting at 130. So could be a nice area for a higher low. So technically it's more bullish is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's go to the 4 hour. See where we're at. See, now the 4 hours looking more bearish. We saw a transition of 130, 145. Okay, it established this level right here. Well, it actually retested this level right here. And then we saw it break through, retest, confirm a nice lower high. And that was the transition to bearish here on the 4 hour. So now we're headed lower. We're at 130, which is that daily zone. And now really where it goes from here is going to determine a lot. Ideally, it curves out, starts pushing up, gives us some nice structure, higher lows, potential entries there, but we really need a little bit more time here on EJ. There's just been so much volume. You don't want to get caught off guard here, and there's been a lot of, or a lack of structure just overall, right? You want this pair to kind of calm down a little bit, start seeing some normal movement. Okay, but if it does continue below 130, it almost is a simpler move, right? It brings us back into the range, and then you could obviously enter on the first lower high. That's really the strategy that I like to play when you're dealing with ranges. I only like to enter on the first break and retest. It's typically where the nice entry volume is, and it'll kind of follow through towards support before slowing down, throwing some chop, and so on. But that's definitely the more simple option here, right? Because you almost want the consolidation. I really want EJ to just slow down and kind of form more normal stuff. Like back here, this is nice normal structure, just good clear movement. Okay, not this rangy stuff or this super high volume stuff. So that'd give us some time to slow down, and then we could play a nice range strategy, looking for the break, higher low above 130, lower high below 129, and just simplify things overall. So that's kind of the outlook for EJ, but kind of sad. Definitely low on the list. And also low on the list is gold for a few reasons. Right? This is going to be the last pair that I cover, but notice we're on the daily time frame. This is where I actually did the analysis for gold this week, because it's super overextended. I mean, let's throw fibs on this, right, for good measure. Right, this thing, let's follow it up. Right, this was the first high. We saw a nice rejection there. Didn't form any structure. Looking for 38.2 to be hit at least, right? Next high here, didn't hit. Now we're up above 1865. Still haven't seen structure yet. So this thing is a bit overextended. And to be honest, it could keep pushing until we hit 1930 and then pull back to form structure, because this is a daily move that's kind of, taking play here. This thing is so much volume. We totally disrespected this range, which gave us so much so much trouble in the past. These three levels have been giving us so much crap in the past. Just look at this chop even, right? And now price action totally disrespects it. There's a huge surge of volume. So I don't think it's just going to reverse, kind of just mid range here, but it is at 1900, big psychological level. We are seeing some dojis. Been there for a couple of days, so it could pull back now, but it might not be structure forming. You know, we'll see. It's going to be tricky. That's why I'm here on the daily. I really just want to see more time go by and see this also calm down, slow down a little bit as well. But just based on the TA, you know, we want to see a higher low above 1865, above this major level. That's, you know, obviously was major resistance. We want it to act and see it act as new support and then follow through on that. And then if we do see a nice long scenario, this could be massive. This could be a humongous trade. Let's kind of scroll in here. We're going to call it a modest 530 pips, right? It's ridiculous. And then we're going to say 200 for a nice 2.5 to 1. So that's a great trade, right? Well protected. Stop loss is well below this new support if we do confirm it as one. And then we'd feel pretty confident taking this long scenario here. Okay, but we have some time on this. I'll have some time to reanalyze this and present it to you guys on a 4-hour, but did it on the daily just to show you guys that we need some time here. Now, what's the flip side? Let's say this is a fake out. We just see a surge of volume, stall of price action, it comes back. We really want to see price action break 1865, pull back, retest, form a lower high, and then follow through on that. So let's go ahead and highlight what this would look like as well. Okay, we want to see that lower high confirm. Get in on some nice bearish setups, bearish variations. And we're going to call it about 350 pips. So this one's going to be tighter, not as much here, not as much room to play. About 170 for like 350 just to meet 2 to 1. So more favor on the upside, but you know, we'll see how it plays out. Either way, we'll come up with something. Okay, so that's just a quick recap. Also, you know, again, gold's on the bottom of the list, same with EJ. But we covered DXY for the 4-hour. Covered DXY, AU, AJ, UJ, EJ, and gold. And again, they're active charts. You guys can pull them up on TradingView, see how they're progressing through the week. You know, they're here to help you guys. You know, there's definitely some value here. Some of these trade paths will definitely be followed, and I can tell you for sure there's definitely some good trade scenarios that are gonna present themselves this week. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Pass it off to Angelo. Let's take a look and see what he's looking at this week.
Cool. Thanks for the overlook. And again, guys, this will be posted on YouTube. I see some comments in there. This is being recorded. It's posted on YouTube. Nick also posted all of his ideas in the Telegram and the Discord. So if you guys aren't in the Discord yet, I would definitely recommend to join, so that way you guys can get all of the updates in there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. If you have any questions, just hit up the chat. And let me know if you can see my screen.
I see it.
It's good.
Yeah, cool. Yep.
See this. All right, so we're gonna get started just looking at DXY like we did, like Nick did just before. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bump up time frames to the weekly and clear this up. So I haven't actually looked and done my analysis for the week. So we're gonna kind of just do this together here. So on the weekly time frame, what I always look for is just where are my key levels, and then basically what is price action currently telling us right now. So looking at this, we've got this, I've had this weekly level placed on here for the past several weeks, and it's based on this resistance. And then we had support here, support here, support here, support here, and then now we have more resistance. So we are retesting a key level of structure at this 96,300 area. And as you can see, we've already rejected this not once, but twice. So price came up here, all these dojis, spinning tops, bearish engulfing, then it pushed down. Then we came back up here, and again, we rejected it pretty dramatically. We had this huge bullish candle followed by bearish engulfing. So we are rejecting this level perfectly. And then focusing on this a bit more, just zooming in, we can actually see right here that we have a doji candle or spinning top, whatever. This is a reversal candle. So price had a bearish engulfing, and then normally we'll have a nice retracement. This is the retracement, and then we have the rejection. So it's most likely that DXY is going to continue to push down here. And then coming down to the 4-hour time frame, kind of just seeing what's going on here. We had a little bit of an uptrend, right? So price was in a downtrend, and all of a sudden we started making these higher highs and higher lows. And then price came down here, made this lower high, came down here. Now we're kind of rejecting this area again. So in order to get below and start to change into more bearish structure, we're going to want to see a break of pretty much this trend that's going on right now. So we're going to want to see a break of this support level that's going on right here. So we're going to want to see a break below here, maybe a retest, and then go lower. And then when it comes to becoming more bullish on the dollar, we're going to want to see a break above our key level right here, this main resistance zone that we're talking about. So break above this 96,300 area and then go long. So I'm favoring bearishness on this one just because of the rejection that we're seeing on the weekly time frame from this level multiple times. And with that in mind, you know, if we're going to be bearish on the dollar for the week, let's just pop over to some of the major pairs here. We're going to get started with GU. So I actually cleared up my levels on GU for the week. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to actually look for these levels together. So whenever I'm looking for levels, I'm just jumping up to the weekly time frame, doing a bit of zooming out, and I'm kind of just seeing like what makes sense here, right? We have a bunch of support at this level. We have this area, we have this area, and then we have some resistance here. So I'm going to mark this right here as one of my key levels, and then we can adjust it once we put it on. But basically the reason I'm putting this here is we have support right there. We have resistance here. Then we have this wick. We obviously have support here. Then we have some resistance here. And then we have clear rejection of this level. So when price comes back into this area, I'm definitely looking for it to reject unless it makes a move above here. And remember, we are on the weekly time frame right here. And the weekly overall is very clean. It's just in a downtrend, forming these lower lows and lower highs. And now we just had a little bit of support that was made right here, but we're still overall in a downtrend. Anyone that is in the program or just understands market structure, the concept of it, this is just what we're looking at right now. We're just seeing a very clear downtrend forming these lower lows and these lower high points. And then we're not going to look to take buys until it very clearly transitions into another trend. And this is what basically that would look like. We would get a break of the resistance in the case of being in a downtrend into an uptrend. And then we look for the first higher low, whether it finds a higher low here, or if it finds a higher low, could be all the way down in this area, it could find a higher low all the way at this demand zone down here. But as long as it finds support beyond this previous level and then moves to the upside, that would be the best area to enter. So we're not seeing any of this, right? We're literally just seeing a downtrend, and we're seeing now a retest of this structure in a downtrend. So I'm going to take this off, and let's keep in mind. So if the dollar were overall bearish, that would mean that GU, we are expecting there to be some more upward movement. Let's see how far away we are from this zone. So we're about 80 pips away from this key level that we have. Let's go down to the 4-hour. 4 hours where I'm going to see like what is the trend looking like on the 4-hour time frame. Are we bullish? Are we bearish? And as we can see here, we just went through this. This is a downtrend, making these lower lows and lower highs. And then we had a break, and then it's getting a bit choppy in here. We're going back and forth. We're ultimately waiting to break this resistance level and to form a new high. So let's go ahead and hide this. And this is basically what we just drew up there. Is we have this downtrend, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And then we had a break of this level right here. And I'm just going to mark this off. And then we had our first higher low. So these are all areas to take entries on right here. We have this level that was retested 3 different times. This is all where we're trying to take buys and swing trade to that new higher low. So right now we're basically waiting for our sells, which would come at this 1.368 area. And in the meantime, it looks like it's lining up to take some buys into that level. And as you can see here, we just actually had a bullish engulfing candle. So that's definitely a buy signal. So this is kind of what this would look like. We're looking to target up here. We always want to have at least a 2-to-1 risk reward. So we're going to line this up, keeping in mind, what does a 2-to-1 risk reward look like? In this situation, I'm not trying to actually target any higher than this. I mean, at the most, I would probably target this area up here because it is the previous high point. But if we were keeping our targets down here, as you can see, this risk reward, when we actually put stop loss in a decent area, is just not that good, right? 1.3 is not worth taking the risk on this trade. So we'd want to actually either adjust where our take profit is. Either we're going to really target this other high and then look, the risk reward is a little bit better, or we're going to want to actually adjust our stop loss and bring the stop loss up. But I want to keep the stop loss here because price could come down. This is the reason I want to keep the stop loss here, is price could come back down and retest this support level, and we're ultimately still in a buy, right? Could consolidate and do something like this and then break and then go to actually our target all the way up here. So I don't want to squeeze myself, leave myself with not a lot of room for the trade to actually mess around a little bit. But I am looking at a potential buy on GU, and that's kind of how I went through and made sense of doing the buy. So that's in line with DXY. Now, if DXY starts to actually gain a lot of bullish momentum and move to the upside, then GU is going to start falling. But I don't think that's going to happen until we get up into this resistance level. But we'll see what happens. But this is a decent buy idea on GU. So let's go over to UCAD next. Let's clear some of this up. And then, as always, let's just bump up to the weekly time frame and let's kind of see what's going on here. So weekly, I have this level marked right here. What is this based on? So I have support, all in this area of resistance, resistance, support, support. So that's why that area is there. And then we have support, all in this area of resistance, resistance. So these are 2 solid levels that we have that we're kind of just trading between. And look how price action is forming right now. We have bullish candle, right? We came off support, and then we have 1, 2, 3 dojis in a row. So 3 weeks in a row, price has struggled to move to the upside, which is telling me that there are a lot of sellers that are stepping in the market right now that could potentially move this to push back down into the support level. So let's go down to the 4-hour time frame and kind of see what's going on. We are forming a rectangle pattern, it looks like.
The good old rectangle pattern.
Yeah, the good old rectangle. So this is normally a continuation pattern. So as you can see on the 4-hour, we have something very similar to GU. We go all the way back to this area. Normally I don't do this because it's just like choppy, but we can see all the way back in this area, we had a bit of an uptrend and then it broke. And then we had a bit of a downtrend. Right. And then we're getting all this choppiness, and then price broke to the upside. And then now this is where we're currently at. We're just consolidating between these 2 zones right here. So this, let's just take some of this off. This is a great way for beginners, just understand market structure. So over here, we're in an uptrend until this breaks. We are looking for buys. And then once it breaks, we're looking for sells, and we're always looking for sells at the first lower high. So in this area, we see these subsequent areas that are lower high points. This is where we're looking for sells. And then we have like another area here. We have another lower high, and then we have another lower high down here. And then we have the break of that level. And then we also have a break ultimately of this level, right? Depending if you wanted to say this is the previous lower high or this area. but we'll just say this is down here. And then as soon as that breaks, we're looking for buys, right? And this would be like the perfect trade right here because think of it in terms of the weekly. We identified this as a weekly level of support, that key level, and price actually had a break and retest right on the weekly level. So we broke above and we're trying to take buys as it breaks above this area because then this acts as support and it lines up with the 4 hour. So whenever the 4 hour and the weekly are lining up together, that's just confluence, and that's where we're really trying to take trades because we know there's going to be volume. And as you can see here, literally moved like 200 pips from that area, which is definitely a large move on UCAD, definitely like a big swing trade. So where we're currently at is we're still in this uptrend. Let's just not look at all this to the left. We are in an uptrend, right? And we formed this higher low, and then it just retested this level once, twice, 3 times. So right now, pretty much these are the different scenarios. You can either wait for a break above this area, look for a retest, and then go long into this next key level because we know there's going to be some rejection in this area. Or if price comes up into this area, well, it's already at this area. So if price starts to reject similar to these past 3 times, you can actually take sells in this area. This is kind of counter trend trading, but we're kind of trading because we know there's this wall of resistance here. And remember on DXY, we were assuming that the market is going to be bearish on DXY. So this would mean that UCAD actually goes down, right? So this is why I'm considering this as an idea. And if we bring the candlesticks back on and kind of just go like this, let's delete all this because you want to just keep things as clear as possible. Let's just look at the previous couple times, right? What did the market do once it rejected? So we haven't actually made it up into this area yet. We're actually rejecting a bit earlier. But if price comes up here and we have some sort of like bearish signal, like over here, we had price came up, 3 bearish candles in a row. That's called 3 white soldiers. That's a bearish signal. Up here, we didn't get any really bearish signal. So that actually isn't a great area to take an entry on. In this area, I mean, we had some entries down here a little bit late. So we're only going to take a trade up here if it's literally perfect. If it comes up here, it either consolidates or just prints a bearish engulfing candle, which would be like a break of structure in the lower time frame. That's when we would take that trade and then target all the way down here. We'd obviously have to manage this and whatnot. So I'm going to just put on a kind of like a sell limit here. We're going to target down here. And then we could always throw our stops to be pretty wide because of the fact that we're targeting so low. So we're always going to want to be at least 2 to 1. Obviously, if we want to make it a better risk reward, we could squeeze it, right? And then it becomes a 4 to 1 risk reward right here. But I just wanted to leave myself a little bit more room because in the event that this is the wrong trade and price starts to move up, it's probably going to move back down to test this area. And then you can kind of get out of the trade and exit in a loss, but not as much of a loss as it would be if it hit your stop loss. But that's something that we cover inside the program, just how to manage trades, how to kind of cut the trades with a loss, but how to cut your losers and whatnot. That's something that we post about even in the rapid signals room, kind of how to manage them. But this is a decent idea right here. It lines up with DXY. It is a level of resistance, and we do have a lot of room down here to target for like a little bit of a swing trade. So I'm going to leave this on, have an idea on UCAD. Let's bump over to GJ next. Let's just go up to the weekly time frame. So GJ on the weekly has been rejecting this resistance level multiple times. So let's just clear this up a bit. Let's just take status of like where are we currently at right now. Let's just zoom all the way out. I have this resistance level based on here. We had support here. Let's just zoom in a little bit. We had support here. We had resistance right here. And then we had resistance, resistance. And then look what we're currently doing. We're coming back into this area. We have this spinning top, this doji, right? So we're starting to show signs of rejection again. So nothing is telling me that I should be taking buys right now. I know this is like a little bit of a higher low, but I'm not comfortable taking buys until we get all the way above this area and it shows me a little bit more momentum to the upside. This is a huge resistance level. So coming to the 4-hour, what's going to support my idea to start to take sells? And we're always going to want to look for like breaks of structure. So this is just going to be some simple structure right here. And remember, we're always looking to get in on the first lower high, and we're starting to see signs of this be a potential setup to the downside. We had a break right here. So let's just take all this off so we can clear this up a little bit. Like this is the strategy. We're looking for breaks of support. We're looking for retest, and we're looking to enter at the best possible point, which is at these lower high points. So think about if once price came up into this area, if you just kind of looked for a bearish engulfing candle and you have it lining up with the resistance right now. So you have some confluence there, and then you can obviously bring on fibs and you're like, all right, we either want to hit 38.2 or 61.8, and all this rejection came at the 61.8 on the fib. So we can highlight this right here. This is definitely a bearish engulfing, right? So that's a signal. This has a large wick, so I wouldn't want to do anything with that. But then we have this. It's like a huge freaking wick to the upside, followed by a bearish engulfing candle. Those are two definite short signals. And then to the downside, where do you target? This could be your target 1. This could be your target 2. We have support down here. We have support down here. This could be target 3. Or you just come up to the weekly time frame and you're looking, where's my weekly level? Okay, weekly's all the way down here. And then you could obviously see this is definitely a main support level right there. So that's kind of just how to map out a trade. And this would be a decent trade to get into because you've got some resistance here, and price could fuck around all in this area, but you've got a lot of resistance there. And then ultimately, it may start to turn to the downside. And then if it breaks this, that you're definitely going to want to flip and actually get into some buys on this one. So again, decent trade idea, shorts on GJ. Next, let's go over to Nzd USD. Let's clear this up a little bit and hop up to the weekly. So weekly time frame is overall bearish, which is why I'm like waiting right now for some bearish opportunities. I'm going to just clear this up. I'm going to actually just delete everything. And let's just pretty much start over. So weekly time frame, let's zoom out. Right now just looking where are my levels, and I can already see there's definitely a level right here. So let's go ahead and map this out. So why did I mark that level there? Pretty much just looking at all this resistance, support, we have resistance, and then more recently we have support right there and resistance right there. So that's definitely one level. And then I had marked this as a level as well. We can obviously see there's a lot of support and resistance in this zone right here. So we've got resistance, support, resistance, and then support. And this is kind of right where we're going into right now. And then let me just zoom out so I get a clear picture of another level. So I'm going to mark one more level, like right here. This isn't the cleanest one in the world, but this one's based on, we have some resistance, support, resistance, And then we have some support there. So this is a little bit lower. This is not as relevant. We don't have to worry about this too much. But look at the weekly. So weekly time frame, we are definitely in a downtrend. And we're actually making our way. We're climbing back up to try to find some resistance right now. So we're in this short-term uptrend on the 4-hour. That's what all this is. But we are hitting this key level, previous level of support right here. This is acting as resistance. So this would be the idea, right? That the market's going to swing back to the downside. So let's just come to the 4-hour and pretty much take a look at what's going on. So 4-hour time frame, we can see we're kind of in a bit of an uptrend right now. We had broken down right here, and then we came up and we made like this new high, and now we're kind of climbing up a little bit more. So really what it comes down to right now is price going to break above this resistance? And at that point, this would be the trade. Or are we going to reject this level, break support of some kind, and then start to move more to the downside? So I don't see a trade too clearly on this one. So I'm going to hold off on mapping something out with Nzd USD. As we know earlier, I'm predicting DXY to continue to be bearish here. I'm seeing a big resistance level right here. So we'd have to get above here for me to really get bullish on this. So that would not back up taking shorts on Nzd USD short term, more back up Nzd USD continuing to push to the upside and then making it up to like 6,800, 6,200 area. So that's all my ideas for the Forex pairs, GU, UCAD, GJ, and Nzd USD. Let's actually hop over to BTC USD. Let's take a look at what the hell is going on with this one. So 3 weeks ago, we had huge candle prints, right? We had this over 10% candle. Let's take a look at this. 11%, 12% to the upside, right? Some buyers were stepping in and then followed up with an evening star. So we're in a bearish trend right now, right? On this weekly time frame. For the most part, we just hit resistance and then we rejected it. So this is actually a great area now. If this follows up with a bullish candle, this could be a great area to actually enter on for it to potentially run to the upside. I mean, look at, I always forget which one it is. Look at this, right? Price came down and we had some sort of bullish price action, came down again, and then we started another little bullish rally right there. So we could see something similar to that. If we come down to the 4-hour, it's just going to be bearish all the way. We can clearly see that because on the weekly, we have bullish candle, doji, so structure starting to form up here. And then we have this bearish candle, which destroys all the structure on the 4-hour. And that's pretty much just this level of support right here. So if we come up to the weekly, we can see that's all the structure right there. And then this is that huge area that's broken. And that's why this is an evening star. This is just a bearish candle or bearish pattern right now. So 4-hour, definitely very bearish. So looking for BTC to actually move to the downside right now, unless, like I said, this all of a sudden prints a massive bullish candle right now. So if you're looking for some trade ideas on BTC, these are two potential areas to actually sell from. One is going to be there, and one is just going to be a retest of the resistance level right there. And then if not, if this thing all of a sudden on the weekly, like this week, if this gets super bullish and just prints a bullish candle that literally engulfs this, that would be the perfect kind of signal that buyers are really stepping in, especially after sellers are trying to take control of this. So that's BTC. Let's look at Stellar. Let's hit up to the weekly. So we've had these levels marked on Stellar for a good amount of time. We've got support all on this area, resistance on this area, support. So this is around the 19 cent, 20 cent mark right here. So for me, I'm really looking to see how price reacts in this area. We can clearly see on the weekly that this has been in a downtrend, right? Ever since we had this huge spike up to the upside, May 2021, huge spike up, and then all of a sudden, boom, downtrend, downtrend. And then we had support here that was broken, retested. So we're on a downtrend. I'm just wondering, are we actually going to break below support right here and head lower? We'll see, right? There's no reason to take buys right now, guys. This is clearly a downtrend on the weekly. And then if we come to the 4-hour, this is also a downtrend on the 4-hour time frame as well. Really choppy. Might even want to hit up to the daily. Daily, you can very clearly see in a downtrend, getting super choppy over there, but mainly just looking at this. You can see this was a level of support that ultimately was broken, and then this was also level support that ultimately was broken. So very clean structure to the downside here. Don't got to go too crazy with it. So it's like until we get something like this, which is what we went over earlier in the call, where we get bullish, some bullish structure, we are not going to be looking for buys. We're going to be looking for sells. And we're not going to look to take a sell right now. We'd only look to take a sell in this scenario right here, or in this scenario where price actually broke support, retested, and then moved to the downside. So we see something like this is an area where it takes support or take a sell position. So always know, like, you don't want to take a sell here because price could retrace all the way up here and you're still in a downtrend, but you're just literally in a shitty trade that's now in huge drawdown. If you take a trade here and price goes against you, you know you want to exit. Like your stops are going to be in an area that makes sense. Same goes for here. It's going to be the most ideal area to take it a sell on because you got the resistance here and you know you just formed a new low. So you're waiting for that first lower high. So that's pretty much it for all my analysis, guys. Thanks for hopping on Sunday Market Blitz. Another week in the books. We'll upload this to YouTube shortly after this. And then if you guys that are still on the call, if you're not in the rapid signals, we're doing 40% off right now. Last week made about 10% in the channel. So they're definitely going really well, heading in the right direction. So if you guys do want some trade alerts, want some signals, feel free to subscribe. 40% off right now, and you can sign up in Telegram. So that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoy the week. That's it for my analysis for the week.
Yeah, guys, pretty much went through it all. So enjoy the rest of the weekend, what little of it we have left. And yeah, let's look forward to another good week. If you guys need us for anything, hit us up, Discord, Instagram if you must, but preferably Discord.
Yeah, definitely hit us up. Best place is just create a ticket in Discord. I know a lot of people hitting us up in Telegram. But just join the Discord, hit us up there. Hanzino's in the chat. He helps with support too. So yeah, that's it, guys. So enjoy the week, and we'll catch you guys on next week's session.
Peace, guys.
Peace out, everybody.